I've been doing a written monthly household budget since August of 1992 when I went off to college and got my first apartment on notebook paper, ledgers, and spreadsheets, all documented for the last 34 years. That's 408 written budgets in a row. Now, let me tell you what I learned from this. And I thought I was learning how to manage money, okay? But when I look back after 34 years, I realized that I was really learning how to manage myself. Now, the first thing that I learned about budgeting was simply this: a written budget became my financial guardrail. See, without guardrails, it's very, very easy to just slowly drift. You rarely wake up one morning completely broke. It happens over time. Usually it's just small decisions repeated over and over. And what a budget did for me in all those many budgets in a row was it quietly kept me between the lines. Guardrails, right? The budget became sort of my GPS system to focus me. Every month, the written budget would remind me where I was trying to go. See, your money always needs direction. Otherwise, what happens to money, if you don't give it direction, it naturally sort of flows and drifts towards convenience instead of towards purpose, the purpose you have for it, right? You don't build wealth by accident, guys. You build it intentionally. And the guardrails from a budget was perfect because it kept me in line all these years. Now, the second thing that I learned was simply this: writing it down made me more accountable. Okay. See, there's something different about putting pen to paper or putting something in a spreadsheet. When you write stuff down and you put it on paper, you put it on a spreadsheet, it sort of slows your thinking down, right? You got different dendrites that connect differently when you have to actually sit and think and write something down, right? And what happens is it forces you to be honest. See, numbers don't lie. When it's written down, you can't pretend that you didn't spend it somehow, right? See, so for me, my budgets became a conversation with myself every single month, like an accountability partner. Sometimes the conversation got good. Sometimes the conversation wasn't good, right? But it was always honest and truthful conversation. See, ownership of where you're going with your money begins with awareness. And in order to be aware, sometimes you got to look something right smack dab in the face on paper. And listen, let me say this while I'm on the second piece. Look, I don't use apps. I've never used an app. If you use an app to budget, drop that in the comments below. I want to hear which app you use. But personally, I don't use an app, right? Because I want some skin in the game. I want to create and produce a product, a spreadsheet, or something written on paper that I created. Because a lot of times with these apps, sometimes you have to change the app around, make it look the way you want to look. There's a category in there that you want to remove, but wait a minute, you haven't even thought about it, right? There's a clothing category or something that all of a sudden now you want to put some stuff in the clothing category when you could just remove it, right? So I just say, forget the app. Just do it based on what you spend. A simple spreadsheet, a simple notebook, a simple ledger sheet, right? Whatever it takes. But me, I'm not an app guy. But if you like apps and you think an app will help you, whatever it takes, go for it. Now, the third thing I learned was consistency mattered more than perfection. Some months got ugly over the last 34 years. Sometimes we had unexpected expenses, car repairs, medical bills, vacations, all these things that are moving parts. Somebody has to get a new car. Maybe there's prom or something coming up, right? I was never trying to be perfect or create perfect months. I was just trying to build a perfect habit in writing a budget every single month. Missing perfection never really mattered to me. I wasn't trying to, make sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed. But I wanted to make sure I had the habit of doing the budget every month, no matter what. One budget is not going to change your life, okay? But 408 budgets could have a real strong impact on your personal finances. That's for sure. Now, the fourth thing was this. The fourth thing I learned was my budget reduced financial stress in my life. See, a lot of financial stress comes from uncertainty, not knowing, right? The unknown sort of creates anxiety for a lot of us. And a budget shines light onto that uncertainty, so to speak, right? Even if money was tight, I knew exactly where I stood. I knew exactly where the money was going. See, so I'd rather know the truth than guess, because when I know the truth, less stress, less anxiety. And this clarity creates more confidence in what I'm doing. The budget didn't always solve my money problems just because I did a budget, right? But it always showed me where the money was going and where the problems are. And that's the first step towards fixing a problem. Now, the fifth thing that I learned was this. When I gave every single dollar a job, my money stayed busy and my money stayed working for me longer. See, money just sitting around without a purpose is going to disappear. Every dollar needs an assignment. It's got to go to certain bills. It's got to go to the savings, the emergency fund, the investments, the giving, the travel, whatever, home repairs. When dollars have jobs, they stop becoming distracted, right? Idle money becomes spending money. Idle money becomes Chipotle money. Idle money becomes just, a little extra we can spend on this and that if you're not careful. But when money is working, money becomes wealth building because it has a purpose. Now, the sixth thing was this. Budgeting made saving and investing a whole lot easier because it was automatically built into the budget. And saving and investing was automatically something I didn't have to think about. It just happened and came out automatically. See, all these years, I didn't just save money that was left over. Saving came first. Investing came first. The budget made those decisions one time, period. You write the budget, you have your savings, you have your investing, and it becomes a part of the budget like a bill. You just follow the budget, follow the plan, and you can do it automatically, right? Because when you do it automatically, it reduces the fatigue of having to try to decide all the time, right? Having to figure out, oh, do I do this now? Do I not do this now? No, you just have everything automatically done. And it removes some of that emotion that can occur when you just have stuff automatically saved and invested every single month in your budget. See, real wealth, guys, is not built by these huge, big old, incredible, giant decisions that you make 2 times a lifetime. No, real wealth is built by thousands of little small automatic decisions that you make consistently over a long time. Now, the seventh thing that I learned from these 408 budgets in a row was that whatever gets measured tends to improve. And my budget over all these years has always been my measuring stick, my measuring tool. And it measures how good I was with that money that past month, right? Think about it like this. Businesses, they have measuring tools, right? P&L statements, balance sheets, and all these good things. Athletes, they measure stuff as well. Doctors measure. Investors measures. You trying to lose weight, what do? You start measuring. So why not measure how you're behaving with your money every single month? That's what I look at a budget as. My budget has always been my sort of monthly report card, not to beat myself up, but just to improve and have some tools that I can use to improve myself every single month. Every month I could ask this: what worked? What didn't work? What needs to adjust? What needs no adjusting, right? Here's the deal. You can't improve what you refuse to measure. So if you want to improve something, you have to actually measure it. And I use my budget as that measure. Now, the eighth thing that I learned was that structure created freedom, not restriction. And so discipline really released more blessings. See, people think budgeting or budgets limit your freedom. I think that budgets really create freedom. My budget over all these years allowed me to have some guilt-free spending. Because why? Because I already planned for it. In the budget, in every budget, I have a section called miscellaneous, and I can do what I want to do with that miscellaneous money. It's not much, but it's something. Freedom is setting up guidelines and staying within those guidelines, right? With discipline. And so I learned over the years that it's discipline that creates options tomorrow. It's this budgeting that ultimately feels restrictive at first, but ultimately it's going to create choices tomorrow, right? And so the more structure I created for myself, the more freedom I eventually experienced with my budgeting. Now, the ninth thing I learned was that my budget helped me make better decisions on a month-to-month basis. And it forced me to think ahead and act instead of always reacting. Look, reactive people, what do? They chase emergencies. They get lost in the stress of life and having to respond to every major problem like it's a major crisis. But you're always going to run into emergencies. It's going to happen. But so-and-so's birthday or Christmas gifts or car insurance that you pay every 3 months or every 6 months, those are things that you can prepare for ahead of time with a budget. See, prepared people, they anticipate what's coming up. My budget forced me to have to think about property taxes and vacations and Christmas and car maintenance and back to school, right? So I moved me from reacting to planning. And planning almost always lowers the cost of mistakes, and it always lowers the cost of stress. Now, finally, the 10th thing that I learned from doing over 408 budgets in a row since August of 1992 was this: small monthly habits is what creates the behaviors that drive long-term wealth. See, guys, the truth is this: nobody gets excited about writing a budget. That's just the facts. Not even me, okay? It's not flashy and it don't go viral. But the thing is this: compound habits are powerful. 34 years later, man, those small little monthly decisions I made became investments. Those investments became big time assets over the years. And those assets became what? More options and more choices for me, which did what in the end? Created more freedom. See, people often ask, hey, Smart Money Bro or Eric, what is the secret to building wealth? And most of the time, here's the deal. The secret is just repeating little basic ordinary things like doing a written monthly budget every month extraordinarily well. So look, do a unique monthly budget every single month and be sure to revisit it a few times in the month and learn from it, right? Don't just write down the numbers. Study yourself, study your habits, study your decisions with money. Ask yourself this question every month: what did my money teach me this month? Or ask yourself, what can I improve next month? Remember, a budget is not about restricting your life. It's about designing your life. The budget is not the goal, okay, the end goal. The life it creates is the end goal, because one written budget don't change your financial future, flat out. But hundreds of them absolutely can. Look, if you got value from this video, smash that like button for me. Share the video with somebody who you think needs to hear it. And as I always say, guys, the absolute best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Until the next video, peace.